Where were you for the Cam Payne game? The veteran point guard came in off the bench and absolutely changed the game in the Sixers Game 3 victory over the New York Knicks. In the matchup in which the Sixers ultimately secured a 125-114 victory, Cam Payne came in for 16 minutes of action, shooting 4 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc, adding 11 points, 3 assists, had a rebound, also had 2 blocks, and was a +9 in those minutes. Once again, a +9 in a game that they coincidentally won by 9 points. So when speaking about Cam Payne, this was his first opportunity to touch the playoff floor with this Sixers team. He is a guy who ultimately came to this team in the Patrick Beverley trade midseason. Of course, the Sixers trading Pat Bev to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for Cam Payne and a second-round pick, and he's been hungry. He's been a better player. He's made more of an impact on this team than I think a lot of people give him credit. And he is a guy who, frankly, has been around the league for plenty of time. Now, when speaking about this spark specifically, why it was so important is because the Sixers just desperately needed some offensive impact of players not named Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And they got just that from Cam Payne. That when looking at the bench scoring overall, in Game 1 as a team, just 7 points. In Game 2 as a team, just 10 points. And then Cam Payne by himself in Game 3, 11 points alone. That is the type of impact that this team needs off the bench. And beyond just the scoring, beyond just the raw numbers, you felt it from Cam Payne. That the dude has straight up balls. He's not afraid of the moment, and he put that on full display. That he took a three-pointer the first opportunity he got it, let the crowd know all about it, skipping around, hopping around, throwing up his hands. He's got this vibe to him, this energy that this team needs. And he spoke a little bit about it after the game, which I thought was one of the better quotes that I've ever seen from a role player. And listening to this from Cam Payne here, he says, quote, "Energy costs nothing. I was pumping the crowd up tonight. We as humans feed off energy. We feed off confidence. Bench guys, that's our job. I love having fun." And he went on to speak a little bit more about how can he be upset he's playing basketball for his profession and how much fun he has doing that, which I think is such a cool outlook for a guy. We get lost in so much of the high pressure, all these storylines, how much is at stake on a game-by-game basis, that sometimes the fun does get taken out of what sports are about. And it's cool that Cam Payne still has that raw, kind of childlike emotion still in him. And it's important to this Sixers team that when you look over to the bench, when you look at this team in warm-ups, it's Cam Payne's the number one guy dancing, vibing up. I even remember back in the day in the beginning of his career during the Russell Westbrook era with him and Thunder, with him and Russ having his pregame dances. That's what I think of when I think of Cam Payne. And I get he deserves more of that from a basketball perspective because he is still a very solid player, but that energy is very important. And specifically, he's a spark guy. That is what bench guys do. That when you throw in a guy off the bench, you're expecting them to change the flow of the game. And bringing this type of energy impacts that. Now, specifically when speaking about the minutes that he did take, as I mentioned, these were his first playoff opportunity. It's Buddy Hield, the guy getting the short end of the stick here, and it's absolutely the right call by Nick Nurse. That for Buddy Hield, in his defensively, he's been the best I've ever seen him in these games, but he's here to be a shot maker. He's here to be a three-point weapon, and when that is not happening, you just can't have him on the floor. The final straw was last night in the first half, where Buddy Hield did receive an open three-point opportunity, bricked it off the rim, and then shortly after smoked the layup in a bit of a contested attempt, one that they just needed at that point of the game, and that's when Nick Nurse went the right direction, and ultimately it swung the game because of it. Now, we should know that this is Cam Payne. This is what he's capable of doing. This is not new. This is not some unknown guy. To dive into his stats specifically here, that he's been around the league forever, played for a variety of teams, even this season during the 31 games that he played with the Sixers, averaging 9.3 points, 3.1 assists, also just shot 38.2% from the three-point arc this year and is 36.9% shooter throughout his career. He does have the weird form. I've always said he looks like he shoots like a toddler, but you know what? If it goes in, who cares? That is a dude that when he gets going, and the team needs that type of just little X factor that they've been lacking for a good portion of this. And when speaking about Cam Payne specifically, he's a guy that's done it at the postseason level as well. That it is rare for a dude with kind of his role player status to have as much playoff experience as he has. That in his career, and I get these aren't numbers that will blow you away, but he's played a total of 55 playoff games, including 42 with the Phoenix Suns, and one in which he dropped 29 points in a way that the Suns absolutely needed in that. He does have this kind of X-factor ability that the Sixers team needs from the bench unit, and specifically when speaking to that, it's because Cam Payne can do more than just be a stationary shooter. That when you look at the context of the Sixers team, obviously there's Joel Embiid, obviously there's Tyrese Maxey, but beyond that, there's not a lot of guys that have kind of some juice in them. That a guy like Nico Batum, very good player, very good at what he does, but he's not going to be beating guys off the dribble. A guy like Tobias Harris, we know that story by now. Even Buddy Hield lacks that athletic pop that I really was hopeful for or kind of expected from him. And then when you bring up some of these other guys, it's Cam Payne that has an ability to beat a closeout. That when a guy has the threat of the three-point shot, which he clearly does and should continue to get moving forward, considering he shot 3 of 4 in that game, he's also capable of putting on the floor, creating for others, playmaking. There's layers, there's ways that he can change the game, and I very much value that in a basketball player. When you have a dude who can change the picture for himself and his teammates just by dribbling, putting the ball on the floor, taking guys off the dribble, that's super valuable for the way you can open up an entire game plan. So now when speaking towards kind of the long-term effects of this, you have to keep Cam Payne in the rotation. There should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it that this dude is stepping on the floor in Game 4. He has a chance to rapidly climb as one of the biggest fan favorites in Sixers folklore history, that he does have a chance to carve out a niche for himself, and you owe him the opportunity to do that because he's absolutely helping this team. Now, if he's not making shots, I get having a short leash on him, but he earned my trust last night in a way that I didn't even fully think was possible. It's not just the raw points. It's not just scoring 11. But the way his demeanor on the court, the way that he immediately impacted that game, how hungry he has been, I think those are all huge takeaways to take from that, just production on the floor. And now with Cam Payne specifically here, like, I do believe that this is a guy that is for real. That this is not a fluke opportunity for him. This is not something, there's too much proven track record from him throughout the flow of his career to fully doubt if that is entirely the case. Now, the Sixers team is not one campaign away from winning the series. There's plenty of other stuff that need to go right, but I do think it is notable to give this guy his flowers because he straight up deserves it after that performance. And another thing that has been going on with Cam Payne, and it's been cool, Nick Nurse has talked openly about it, a couple of the players have mentioned it as well, is that he's been just kind of pissed off that he's not playing. And I think that's a good trait in an athlete, that you want guys that are hungry to be on the floor. And I do appreciate, once again, the quote, acting like he's nothing but grateful, and the energy, and those are all things that are accurate and cool to express. But you also want a dude that wants to be on the floor. This is no Ben Simmons stuff where you look for any excuse not to play. Cam Payne's a dog, man, and he wants to be out there, he wants to be competing, and he's going to give it everything he got. So he's still going to be a low minutes guy, a guy that comes in, makes a flash, but that can be the difference in a game. Once again, to mention, he was a +9 in a game that the Sixers won by 9 points. That is not directly correlated. It is not purely Cam Payne winning that game straight up, but the little flurry of offensive production that he gave this team totally turned the tides of that game and gave the Sixers a chance to win the non-Embiid minutes in a way that they have not in past games. So shout out to Cam Payne for stepping up when the moment called. I do think this is something to keep an eye on and watch moving forward, that I do believe this is legit here to stay, and he should be a part of the Sixers playoff rotation moving forward. The whole conversation regarding Buddy Hield can be revisited next series, but I frankly just don't see a world where he should be stepping on the floor, especially over Cam Payne, with the way that both guys are currently playing. And also should be noted that D'Anthony Melton, while he was cleared to play in Game 3, did not step on the floor for a single second. So I don't know if it was a bit of a smokescreen from the Sixers end. It may just be Nick Nurse not being able to trust a guy to throw him into the playoff rotation after so much time that he has missed, and I do understand that mindset as well. But all these signs just point toward the door being open to Cam Payne being an impact player for the Sixers team. So once again, shout out to Cam Payne. We will see where things go from here. Appreciate each of you guys tuning into this video. Drop a little prediction for the Cam Payne stat line in the comments on this video. Make sure you're dropping a like and smashing that subscribe button to keep the Sixers Digest family going. Got a lot of ball left to break down, and here to do it every step of the way. Appreciate you guys, and talk next time.